Okay, so should we do something with the dimensions? So
I think we should. I think we should write one metric.
yeah, and let's do
Should
that.
we do it?
Where should we do
So I
that?
think so. Under this ID column,
Uh-huh.
I know that if I do a count distinct of this, it's going to be the total number of unique pull requests.
Yeah.
So if you under meta type metrics, and then on a new line do total pull. You can do this as a key instead of a list.
Okay.
Yeah, total pull requests, and then on a new line do type count distinct.
Like capital or
Just all lowercase.
okay.
That's it. Yeah. Nice. And so what this basically says is that if I do a count distinct on this column, that's called the total number of pull requests. And so it's that's a very simple, that's the simplest a SQL snippet gets when you're building your metrics layer. But this is just saying count distinct on this ID, in a bunch of different contexts, and we'll see what that means later. You'll be counting the unique number of pull requests.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start simple.
As far as I know, I can also now go in and say, yeah, actually, I want to have it look like this. Pull requests, and I could also like come up with a description. Like the fun part.
Total pull requests.
Yeah, total number of pull requests. But I mean, there's like there might be some other things where it's really important, and so this is, for example, which I really like, which sometimes is forgotten, is like description can really help, especially like if you really make up some metrics that are based on definition. So here it's quite straightforward what it is, but sometimes it can be like that you make a specific decision for a metric, how you want to calculate it. And if you put this then in a description, it makes it really easy for people to later, in the BI tool, to see it and say, okay, this is how it makes up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's true for the, if you go down, maybe we can just write one more.
Yeah.
If you go down to the average cycle time for each pull request. So a reminder that in this table, one row is one pull request, and it has the cycle time on it. So yeah, for example, this one has like a few caveats.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to add the average, we'd do metrics. Average cycle time. And type average. You guessed it. In the description for this one, you might say this is the average cycle time measured in hours.
Yeah.
And it's null for pull requests that haven't been merged. So this only makes sense if a pull request has been merged, and that can be useful because otherwise you see a null and it's hard to know what it means. So I guess that's the kind of example of where injecting some documentation is useful. And this is where the metrics layer centralizes documentation as well as the metric definitions. It's kind of this handoff point between engineering that knows a lot about the back end of how the metric was computed and what kind of limitations or caveats do we need to pass on to our stakeholders so that they can use this with confidence.
Yeah, and I mean, this might go already a little bit off, or let's say too far. So at least like what I'm using as well is like, so for example, what you already said. So even like in some cases, so for example, if I would have, let's say, maybe revenue here, which I don't, but so I can even go in there and can already say, okay, I want to define already how I want to format all this stuff, because like people not doing this in a BI tool, some people who have experience with that to build all these charts and to come up with all the formatting all the time yourself. This is quite painful, so you don't really want to do this. So you want to do this in a central place.
Yeah, I mean, probably a sensible thing here would be if you type round and then 2, that'll mean that this never shows more than 2 decimal places. Nice. And that's because, you take an average, you could end up with loads.
Yeah.
And we really only care about going down to about the minute level. So yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So that's it. We just created 2 metrics.
We've created 2 metrics. Yeah. So we wrote these under the meta tag. These could also be DBT metrics if you've already got, most people will have this YAML file already. So you don't need to do any work to write dimensions. You might have a DBT metric, so you've got no work to do there. So then the only thing you'll need to do is this next step, which is like, we're going to push this project up to Lightdash.
Yeah, let's do that. So